Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. The topic this time is How to Vacation as a Lawyer. This webinar is hosted by the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center, and speaking today will be Joshua Lennon from Clio. The Legal Technology Resource Center is an ABA member benefit provided by the ABA Law Practice Division. The LTRC has been providing lawyers with legal technology guidance for more than 25 years. You can find a variety of legal technology articles, guides, videos, and other resources on our website at lawtechnology.org or our blog, lawtechnologytoday.org. Also be sure to check out the new ABA Legal Technology Buyer's Guide at buyersguide.americanbar.org. Joshua Lennon is an attorney admitted to the New York Bar. He studied law at St. Louis University School of Law, obtaining a Juris Doctorate and a certificate in International and Comparative Law. During this time, Joshua clerked for the Missouri Attorney General, helping prosecute discrimination claims on behalf of Missouri citizens. Joshua also studied European Union Law at the University of Georgia School of Law's Brussels Legal Seminar. Joshua has since helped legal practitioners improve their services, working for Thomson Reuters publishing departments in both the United States and Canada. Joshua currently serves as lawyer-in-residence for Clio, providing legal scholarship and research skills to the leading cloud-based practice management platform. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll now begin the webinar.
Hi, my name is Joshua Lennon. I want to thank you for joining me today on How to Vacation as a Lawyer. I want to thank Rose for that great introduction and for the LTRC for allowing me to come and speak with you. I think this is an important issue because 26% of lawyers never take a vacation. That's according to the Legal Profession Assistance Conference, who did a survey on wellness issues for lawyers. And what they found was 26% never take a vacation, and close to 50% of lawyers either never take a vacation or never use all of their vacation. And that's a real shame because I think vacations are really important to lawyers, whether it's exploring new vistas and new places with this great shot of Amsterdam right here, or it's spending some time with the family and having a good day out on your own, or even if it's just taking a little time for yourself to relax. Having a vacation is an important part of health and wellness for lawyers. And that's really important because what we've seen is vacation is actually associated with lower levels of depressions for lawyers. A study that was done on leisure as a coping resource found that the workload of lawyers is so high and so demanding that those lawyers who did take vacations actually had a decrease in depression. In fact, it was close to a 30% decrease in depression for lawyers. And it's impressive that they were able to find such a large correlation between vacations and mental health, because lawyers as a whole are actually almost 4 times more likely to suffer from depression than non-lawyers. We as a profession are constantly beset with other people's problems, other people's deadlines, and really a high-stress job from which there is no relief professionally. And so what we've seen is lawyers as a whole are prone to having mental health issues. It's not from anything personality-wise, but more just based on the nature of our work and the unending grind of it. And so most lawyers find that not only do they not have time for a vacation, but they don't have time for anything but work. And that's what leads to such a high level of depression. Unfortunately, it gets even worse. What we've seen is lawyers also have the 4th highest suicide rate. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the U.S. did a study, and they found that of all of the professions from which there is an increased risk for suicide, lawyers have the 4th highest rate, with physicians and other physical health professionals being the only industry above that of lawyers. And so it's interesting that professional experts like lawyers and physicians are constantly feeling the pressure to perform and really worried about the outcome in cases upon which they're working. And that pressure to perform is driving us further and further into our work, further and further away from mental health, and leaving us in a situation in which, quite frankly, we're putting ourselves at risk. And it's a risk not just for ourselves, but also for our clients as well. If we're not able to competently handle their matter, then why are they coming for us? So I think there's actually even an ethical reason for lawyers to plan for a vacation. And I want to take a look at Rule 1.3 that talks about how vacations are a mental and ethical necessity for lawyers. Rule 1.3 in most states is the rule for diligence. If you take a look at comment 2 in the ABA's model rules of professional conduct, you see that a lawyer's workload must be controlled in such a way that each matter can be handled competently. They don't go on to really say what that means, but I think we can extrapolate. If we know that as a profession, we are prone to struggling against mental health issues because of our workload, and if we know that vacations actually help keep us mentally refreshed and mentally healthy, then I think part of our workload and handling it competently is the idea that it shouldn't dominate our entire lives. We can be zealous, we can be diligent, we can be competent, but we can also balance our workload in order to be healthy and effective. And that's something that isn't really discussed as an ethical requirement, but I think that it should be. After all, for most of us, the practice of law looks something like this: a constant stream of people, a constant drudgery, a constant struggle to keep up and to move through, quite frankly, a Byzantine landscape that isn't necessarily friendly to anyone. And even though we have that insider's knowledge to it, it doesn't necessarily make it a friendly place. It just means we kind of know what to expect around the corner, and it's going to be more of the gray and more of the drudgery. So what we should be doing instead is finding ways to balance our practice with the idea of relief and leading ourselves away from the practice in such an instance as we can build ourselves a mental barrier or a buffer against the drudgery, and we can come back refreshed, revitalized, and energized for our practice. That's what gets our clients the best results. That's what gets ourselves the best mental health, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at next, how you can prepare for a vacation so that it really can be part of your workflow and handling your matters competently. So I think there are a couple of steps that lawyers should be doing to prepare for a vacation. The first of which is scheduling a vacation. The second of which is coordinating your practice around that vacation. Third, picking tools that support your absence. Fourth is pulling in outside help. And the fifth is actually taking that time to go out and enjoy yourself. Let's take a look at these individually. If you don't schedule a vacation, if you don't put it into your calendar in advance, it will never happen. There are too many demands and interruptions upon our time as lawyers for us to be able to just, at the drop of a hat, take off and enjoy a vacation. So the very first thing that you should be doing is looking forward and scheduling a vacation and making that part of your full schedule for that time period. Now, I advise at least three months out in advance. There are two reasons for that. For the most part, hearings and trials tend not to be scheduled inside of 90 days. So that does give you a little bit of time to jump forward and to make sure that you've got a spot in your calendar that is open and now reserved for your vacation. So 3 months in advance. The other reason I recommend taking a look 3 months in advance is you tend to get the best deals on airfare. So definitely make sure that you're adjusting your schedule and your budget by putting that vacation on the calendar a couple months in the future. But once you have that on your calendar in the future, then it's very easy to defend that time. So when it comes to clients coming in and asking for meetings, you can look at your calendar and say, no, I'm sorry, that time is already blocked off. And it's the exact same response that you would be giving to clients, opposing counsel, even to the court if you had another case or another hearing or a professional obligation. No, I'm sorry, I'm scheduled for that time. Your vacation, as we just looked at before, is a professional obligation. It's good for the health of yourself and your effectiveness as an attorney. So putting it on the calendar and defending that time is actually a professional responsibility. But if you aren't putting it there first, you're not going to be able to defend that time, and there's going to be issues around that. Now, once you've blocked off time, then it becomes time to coordinate your practice. And I think there are 3 things that you should be doing to coordinate your practice, and these are and the lead up to your vacation. The first of which is informing your clients of a potential change in communication channels. So we'll take a look at some tools that come up that'll really help you with that. But I think it's important for you to reach out to your clients and say, for this week only, I'm going to be off-site. Here, if there's an emergency, here's a way you can reach me. Please use this communication channel. Now, you don't have to tell them you're on vacation. In fact, I probably wouldn't tell them you're on vacation. I would just tell them that you're off-site, and here's a different means of communicating with you, that you won't be able to meet with them in person, but you are going to be reachable, and here are the means to do it. The second thing is, as you go off-site, you should introduce them to a locum. And a locum isn't a term that we use very often, but it is an attorney that you set up to handle emergencies that arise in your absence. And we're going to take a look at a couple of tools that will help with that as well. But you should definitely be introducing your clients to your locum and then telling them when and how to contact them. So I'm going to be gone for the next, I'm going to be off-site for the next week. Here's how you can reach me. If you're unable to reach me, here is someone who will be handling this matter in the event of an emergency, and here's how to reach them. And the second thing is build the vacation into your scheduling tools. So make sure that not just your own calendar reflects that you're going on vacation, but that of your assistant, so they know not to schedule things during that time. And also, if you're giving available dates to, say, a court clerk, that your vacation is showing up as booked time in their schedule, whether it's a public-facing calendar that you use for them, whether it's the court's own scheduling tool, and you can that gives you the option of blocking off time. Noting that time as unavailable is incredibly important in coordinating your practice. So that way, no one else is inadvertently grabbing that time that you've already set aside. And that's how you coordinate your practice around it. Now, the timing for each of these steps is very important. I think informing your clients of a change in your communication channels and introducing them to the locum is actually not a long-term action, but a short-term action, usually the week before you go on vacation. But building vacations into your scheduling tool is very important. So the minute you decide to book that vacation, you should not only enter it into your calendar, but all of the calendars that propagate out from that. So if you're using a practice management system, make sure that it's something that's visible, again, to your assistant. Make sure it's something that shows up on your mobile phone. So when you're at the court and we're all flipping through calendars on our mobile phone, that it shows up there and you can say, I'm sorry, but that time's booked. Is there another date available? I think the next thing that you should do is pick some supporting tools. And these are things that you should be doing that help you go on vacation. And there are a couple of ones that I think we should look at right off the bat. The first of which is answering services. There are great contract answering services out there. One of the ones I'm most familiar with is Ruby Receptionist. You may also know it as Call Ruby, which is a contract answering service that has the ability to answer your phone. You can forward your number to it. They're able to take messages, provide notes. They act as if they were a local receptionist in your office, but they are a virtual receptionist operating out of a call center run very professionally on the West Coast. What's great about this service is they also tend to tie in with a lot of the other tools that you're using. For example, they have an integration with Clio to where if they get a request for a meeting, they're able to take a look at the calendar you share with them and look for open time periods. They're able to enter notes under a contact or a case matter on your behalf. So that way, if there's a voicemail, they can just type it right in for you. They're also able to operate under a system of rules. So if a client is coming in and asking for an appointment, they know not to book it during the week of your vacation. But if a client comes and calls with an emergency, they'll know whether or not to give them the proper means to contact you on a vacation. And it's that system of rules that I think really makes an answering service the most important thing you can pick. What's great about an answering service like Ruby Receptionist is you don't just have to hire them for your vacation. You can use them year-round, but you can change the rules as you're progressing. So you can say, hey, I'm going to be gone this week. Let's block that as unavailable time for anyone who's requested a meeting. and here's my contact information for that week only. And what's also great is you can hire them for, say, the period of your vacation only, but I think they're such a valuable service that if you want to use them year-round, I couldn't come up with an argument against it. It's very cost-effective and very flexible. The next thing you should be looking at is cloud-based tools. The reason I recommend cloud-based tools is for two points. One, that makes them accessible wherever you are, so long as you have internet access. You are able to access your case information, your communication channels. And the second reason is cloud-based tools make it so you don't have to lug a bunch of equipment and paper. Cloud-based tools, you're probably most familiar with using them as apps on your mobile phone. And if you pick the right apps, there's absolutely no reason to be carrying your entire law office with you when you go on vacation. So, for example, when I'm traveling, I use the Skype app to allow for voice over IP calls, so that way I'm not running up a bunch of long-distance charges for myself. I use the Google Voice app that does call forwarding, which allows certain people who have access to my phone number to dial my local number, and it will reach me wherever I am located by forwarding that call to my phone number. And I also use a cloud-based practice management system like Clio, which allows me to have access to my files, the ability to have access to my notes, the ability to track time, and all the information that I need is accessible at my fingertips, all from my mobile phone. So if there's ever an issue while I'm on vacation, I have the ability to deal with it competently, even while I'm sitting on the beach with a margarita in my hand. So cloud-based tools give me access to my information without forcing me to have the equipment necessary for it. Oh, there was one more app I forgot to mention. I also keep Fastcase, their mobile app on my phone, which allows me to do free legal research from either my tablet or my phone. And that's great if I need to quickly look up a precedent or a case that somebody's asking about. And I can even use that app to share that case or precedent with them. So I highly recommend using cloud-based tools and then making sure that you have the apps that correspond with all of those cloud-based tools available on your mobile phone and your tablet. So that way you're not carrying a huge chunk of equipment with you. In fact, I'm going on vacation in the near future, and the only thing I'm taking with me is my iPad and my mobile phone. And that'll be enough to keep me connected and to keep me in communications with all the people I need to in the event of an emergency. So those are some supporting tools that you should be taking a look at. An answering service, cloud-based services, and apps. And if you have all three of those combined, and all of them can, with the examples that I've given, it makes it very easy for you to remain in control of your practice without having to be at your practice. But I think there's an important thing that you should also be grabbing, and that's the idea of outside help. Most solo and small law firms actually struggle with this topic, reaching for outside help when they go on vacation. But I think it's important for you to establish somebody like a locum who can cover you in the event of your absence. Unfortunately, all of the tools that I mentioned and all the things that I've talked about so far aren't a great help if you're required to make an appearance. And if that is the case, then outside help is the person for whom which you should turn. It's somebody to whom you can hand the baton temporarily until you get back from your vacation. The term for that is a locum, L-O-C-U-M, and it's a person that should have access to your files and your information in the event of an emergency, and they don't necessarily have to. Believe it or not, it's actually an ethical duty to appoint a locum, not just for vacation, but also in maintaining your practice. In comment 5 of Rule 1.3, we see that the duty of diligence requires that each sole practitioner prepare a plan and designate another competent lawyer to review client files, notify clients of a lawyer's death or disability, and disability could just mean the inability to show up in court on that date, and determine whether there is a need for immediate protective action. This is where lawyers stumble. They may have a friend down the hall whom they can trust, but they haven't set up their systems in such a way that that lawyer has easy access to it. And this is especially true if you're locking your files away. If it's a paper file, you can very easily give them access to your office. You just loan them the key while you're gone. But if you're using an electronic system, and most of us are, how do you give them access to your open case files? And that's where I want to show you an example of a great tool that's out there right now. In Clio, as in other practice management systems, you have the ability to share cases. Here we've got the Share Matter screen with Clio Connect, where I am very easily able to, before I go on vacation, give temporary access to my case file. And what this does is it grants the co-counsel, your locum, temporary access to Clio without giving them a full account, without having to buy an extra account, and it even allows your locum to build some time through your system. So in the event of an emergency, while you're on vacation, you can very easily coordinate with your locum, give them access to the appropriate files, allow them to enter in any notes or documents that happen in your absence, and they can even build time. And under the fee sharing rules, you can use this build time to compensate them for their efforts without losing control of the case file, without losing control of your clients, and without worrying that there is going to be this another silo of information that you need to keep track of in your buddy's office as opposed to your own. So it's a great way for you to quickly and easily click on Share the Matter, and then once that's established, then you can just go on your vacation knowing that your buddy can reach you, you've got all the tools set up that you can need, and if there are any problems, you've got somebody with access to all of the information they require to best service your clients, and you have control of those clients on top of which. So it's a great tool, and I think you should be looking for that or something equivalent within all of the other tools that you're using. If you have all of these steps together, then you can move on to the last step when it comes to preparing for a vacation, and that's just enjoying yourself. Whether it's sitting on the couch and having a little time off with the people who mean the most to you, or whether it's hopping on a plane and going to the most exotic locale that you can, you've set up everything in such a way that you have a peace of mind, your clients are covered, and you can just kick back and enjoy yourself. And that's what you should be looking for when it comes to preparing for a vacation. So remember the 5 steps. Schedule your vacation in advance. Again, I recommend about 3 months in advance. 2, coordinate your practice around that vacation, making sure that the people who are going to be making demands on your time know not to make demands on your time during that period. Pick tools that support your absence and start using them now. So it's not something that you're frantically trying to get up and running on the last minute before you board the plane, but it's something that's part of your workflow now that easily shifts over to when you have an absence with your vacation. And that includes making sure that they have an app that you can download onto your mobile device. 4th, pull in that outside help and make sure that the tools that you're using easily and quickly support them helping you. Make it easy for them, and they'll be more than willing to help you when you go on vacation. And lastly, enjoy yourself. We all need that break, both for ourselves and for our clients. And if you follow these 5 steps, you should be able to take it no problem. I'm Joshua Lennon. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me at joshua@goclio.com. You can also reach me on Twitter. I'm @JoshuaLennon, and of course LinkedIn. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. And I'll now pause for questions. So please, pull in your questions on how to take a vacation.